Hey guys, today we're going to explore a medical case that shook the world of Canada, White v. Turner. It's not just a case about a bad decision made by a doctor, but it's a case about when a patient's trust is broken and its effects on the individual and the medical healthcare system all at once. So let's get into it. So let's get to the facts. A woman came in, white, and she wanted breast reduction surgery. Her physician or surgeon, Turner, performed the breast reduction surgery, but after the surgery, she came out with a lot of scarring and her breast was kind of lopsided, so she was not satisfied with the result and she sued for negligence. First, to put this off, if a bad result comes out from a surgery, it's not always negligence, but in this case, we found out that the surgery took 1.5 hours. So breast reduction typically takes 2 to 4 hours to complete, but in Dr. Turner's case, it only took 1.5 hours. So through evidence, they found out that Dr. Turner skipped a lot of critical steps in this procedure. In the end, the court ruled in Ms. White's favor, saying that Dr. Turner's substandard care was the reason for her scarring and lopsidedness, and therefore it was negligence. Now, what does this case mean for an individual? It kind of highlights three things. First, it highlights our right to informed consent. When we agree to a surgery or we give consent to a surgery, we are giving consent to the doctor abiding by the fiduciary duty, to abiding to the treatment and being there for the whole time, not leaving for 20 minutes, not having a pause, not taking a break. You're saying yes for the doctor to keep your best interest in mind and do it to the best of their abilities. And that was not done during the White v. Turner case. Secondly, it also highlights our autonomy and dignity. Although when you go unconscious, your rights don't stop. You know when you go to bed, all your rights are disappeared and you become nothing. No, your rights are still valid during this time. Finally, this also shows the importance of psychological and emotional distress, not just the physical part. Because she was still physically good, but imagine, for instance, imagine if you're taking a haircut or in the barber and your barber midway through your haircut just leaves to get food. If it was me, I'll be annoyed, I'll be confused, I'll never trust the barber again. So now imagine the situation, but with your own life in surgery. I will never trust the surgeon, I'll never trust medical care especially because I'm under anesthesia and I was not even privy to what was going on. I will be so anxious and scared to ever go into and go under anesthesia again. This case really does highlight the importance of the emotional distress it causes to the individual, regardless of if they're awake or not, because once they find out, it's kind of broken. If we were to look at this case and its effect on the overall healthcare system, I could probably give you three aspects this really hits. One, accountability for medical practitioners and healthcare practitioners in general. When you're in a healthcare practitioner unit, you are not just a healthcare practitioner when you hyper-visualize. It occurs at all moments of time. In the bathroom, in the OR, in the ER, wherever you are, when you're signing documents. As long as you are on duty, you are still a medical practitioner, and therefore you have to abide by the rules and the regulations that you are in the facilities. This case really shows that he thought because he's in the OR and he's probably not being over there and people are not seeing him, he gets to relax and not follow the rules. But at all times, you have to follow the rules or the regulations. You have to be held accountable to that. Secondly, bringing to my second part, is the regulation on healthcare practitioners, especially private practices. Dr. Turner was able to falsify notes which further misled White. So if there was greater oversight, greater looking on what these people are doing keeping check-ins, checkups, you were able to go over the situation. This situation would be less likely to occur. And he also put a more of, I won't say fear, but more of a pressure to do the right thing because you know you are being watched. Kind of in a religious sense, when you know there's God and you know you're being watched over, you're more likely to do good because he's always watching. But if there was greater oversight, these people will have more of a feeling, I don't know the word, but a feeling to abide by the rules of the law. And finally, in a general sense, just look over it, this just shows the healthcare system is nothing without the trust. If you lose credibility, patients are less likely to come to doctors, trust them to actually accomplish their job. If they know when they're under anesthesia, doctors go haywire, have parties, smoking, whatever, they are less likely to want to get surgery. They're going to look for other remedies, other things that they can trust, rather than fund or go to the healthcare system. Because once that trust is broken, it will be very hard for it to be built up. And the medical system and the healthcare, everything in this world basically is driven by trust that it is going to work, trust that you are taken care of, trust that you are in the best hands possible. And this case clearly shows that once the doors are closed and the blinds are shut, things go on that may not be beneficial to you. And that's why it's important that credibility is there, because it really is the core of most things, especially the healthcare system. Wise v. Turner isn't just a court case, but it's a lesson that patients deserve transparency, and healthcare practitioners deserve or need to be held accountable for things that they do, not just the physical thing, but in all aspects of their practice. They need to be held accountable for always keeping in mind the patient's best interest. They have to stick by the fiduciary duty. Well, this is the end of the video. Thank you for watching. And always remember, if you're in any healthcare circumstance, you have rights.